Here we go. What's going on? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you're at. I'm DJ TLM, the last Mohican. Welcome to Share the Knowledge Live, episode 38. This is my weekly Q&A show for DJs. I want to welcome all my people on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Mixcloud. Again, salute to DJ Big V and Iron Hammer in the building. And Patrick Flynn is here as well. So salute to you as well. Now, let me start off right here by letting you know that for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I have not paid much attention to DJ things. I've not seen a lot of social media. So if there's any DJ news from the last week or two that y'all want to cover or that I should know about, let me know in the chat. And for those who tried to tune in last week, as you could tell, that was not really working. I was at home, tried to do a show from the laptop. I could not find my cable, so I had to use the Wi-Fi. Now, that never really works well at home, but I also suspect that the laptop that I was using just was not up for the task. So that was a major fail. So last week basically didn't happen because of that. Tried a couple of different things. It didn't work out. I'm back in the studio now. This is a normal episode, wired connection, different computer, so we should be good. And Big V, besides that, I'm doing absolutely fine. The holiday is over, so the last couple of weeks were also time to spend some more time with the fam. Now the kids are back to school now. So for parents, y'all know when people say like, hey, it's the holiday time, cool. I'm like, yeah, it's cool to spend time with the fam, but when it comes to work, it's actually a lot more difficult to get the work done. So I'm kind of happy that we're now back to the normal schedule as far as the kids are concerned, which also means I have a way more steady schedule. It's a lot different when you have two of these boys at home all day. All right, let's get into some shout outs. T-Babs in the building. Salute to you. KSA is in the building. Brian Silas is here, tuning in from Oklahoma City. We got DJ Lou 8. Much respect to you. Fly DJ Eli is here. And I'm hearing myself. Did I turn my... Let me turn that off. Oh, wait, that's my phone. I have Mixcloud open on the phone just in case someone wants to join in the chat there. I cannot see that in my Restream chat app, but there was a little audio coming from that. Stephen Bell is here, SMB Music on Instagram, and Patrick Flynn. So I see the first questions rolling in, and that is all good. And I'm ready for it. So once again, for the people tuning in now, for the last couple of weeks, I have not paid too much attention to DJ news, tech news, you name it. So if there's anything you want me to cover or want me to know about, let me know about that. And T-Babs, that was fun. So in the last couple of days, I did try to tune in to some of the live streams. If you were here 2 weeks ago, I told you to let me know when you're streaming. Now, for some of you, the timing was just right. So I started following a bunch of you. I'll follow more. So if you're streaming on Twitch or YouTube, let me know in the chat right now. I'll try to follow you as well. And if I get the chance, I'll check out a stream. But it all depends on the time. So some of the notifications come in the middle of the night. So that might be the afternoon for you or just the evening. And that could be 3 or 4 a.m. for me. Now, in most cases, I'm not going to be able to check out a stream then. But some of you have a time that fits well for me. And when I see the emails come in and I have a couple of minutes, I'll just jump on because it's kind of exciting for me to also see how all of you are doing. So stream wise, what kind of setup are you using? What's your style? You name it. So that's a lot of fun to see. So I was able to check out a couple of the streams during this last week, and I'll try to do that whenever I can. Now, sometimes I might only have 5 or 10 minutes, so I won't be able to check out like a full stream. But whenever I have a little time, I'll try to peep some of you and see what's going on. And also, if I see enough streams and I might spot a couple of trends that I feel I should address, then I can also do that. So if I see a common mistake that comes up in a lot of streams, or something that's actually pretty cool and I haven't done or thought about, it's great to be able to share that with you, give you feedback. So I won't do that on a personal level. I won't name names, but after I checked a couple of streams, I might have some comments that could possibly help you out. So let's get into it. And the first question is, what lights do you suggest for a DJ who's been DJing for a year? So Nighthawk, what are we talking about? Are we talking about lights for the studio? So lights to record your own DJ sets or for streaming? If that's the case, I might have some ideas. If you're talking about lights for a mobile DJ setup, then I honestly do not have a clue. That is not my expertise. So let me know what exactly you want to know. And if it's about like stage lights, then we'll jump into the chat and see who can help us out. And the next question is, let's see if it's a question or a party. This past Saturday night, I had a gig. Congrats to you, by the way, because over here we have no gigs at all. And it was really weird. I had it hyped big energy early on in the night, and then the energy level kind of died down. What do you do in a situation to get the energy back up after it dipped down a little? It depends, though. So, and maybe you noticed or maybe you didn't. So, did the energy change when you changed your music style? Because if that's the case, then it's a clear indication that you might have went down a path that the crowd is not really feeling. If that's the case, that's mostly a pretty easy solution, because then you can jump back to what was working. What time were you playing? So had the party been going on for quite a while? Because maybe you came in and let's say that 3 or 4 DJs played before you and they ramped up the energy early. Maybe they already kind of tired out the crowd. That's also a possibility. There's multiple possibilities, so it's really hard for me to tell. Roman J, salute to you for that follow. It's really hard for me to tell because it depends on the situation. So if it's a musical choice, like I said, then you could try to switch back to what was working before. And otherwise, like if it's later in the night and they're already kind of tired. Now, what I have done sometimes is when I feel that the energy level kind of changed and a hype track didn't help, in some occasions, it actually worked for me to kind of revert back to a vibe that I would normally try to create during a warm-up session, meaning that I'm not going for the ultimate energy, but I'm trying to get them back with a real inviting vibe, like a real comfortable, cozy vibe, like stuff I would play during the warm-up that gets people in a good mood without slamming them with energy. And on certain occasions, that actually worked because, yes, they were more mellow, but they were having a great time. They were really feeling the more mellow vibe. Now, most cases, that's not what's happening in a club setting because most of the times energy will work. But I've had that happen before, that energy was not the solution. And instead of going for more energy, I decided to really just switch gears and bring it back down and really try to vibe with them. I let tracks play a little bit longer, and that really worked well. But it's really hard to just give you the solution for your particular situation. Next up, Stephen Bell says, do you know if it's possible to switch during a set using beat source to title on Serato? Yes. You will need to have some music on your computer. So if you're playing a track from beat source on one deck, you cannot make the switch to title while you still have music from beat source loaded into one of your virtual decks. So you play a track from beat source, then you got to grab one track from your computer, mix that in. When that's playing, then you can make the switch from beat source to title and start playing tracks from title. When you want to switch back to beat source, you will have to use that same solution. So you will have to grab another track from your computer, mix that into the title track, and then you can switch back. So that's the only thing. You only have one of those streaming sources that you can use at a time. So if you have one track from beat source playing, if you want to make that switch to title, they'll let you know, like, yeah, cool, but then you cannot have that track playing anymore. I think that is how it always works. I have not tried this with the offline locker tracks, but yeah, I don't want to assume. Maybe that works, but I'm not sure if you see your offline locker when you're not logged into beat source. Not sure about that. I don't think so, actually. Next up, I started DJing 15 years ago, part of the crew I wanted to be. Played festivals, residency at the sickest club in here. Now I'm missing the challenge. Got myself a DJM 2000 Nexus. How to start with it. All right, so I'm trying to figure out what exactly the question is, because the first part is about that you DJ for 15 years, part of a crew, festivals, sickest club in town. So are you currently not DJing? Is that the thing? Like you DJ'd then and you're missing it now, so you want to start again? So let me know. DJ 6, what's going on? 1 second. All right. DJ 6, salute to you. And let's see. Big V says, what devices would you like to see Scratch Bang come to? I don't have any particular devices in mind. I think it would be cool if Scratch Bang would work with all Serato mixers. But yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I see that they're slowly starting to add it to some more mixers. So we'll have to see. Mixmaster G, what up? What up? All right, so if there's news, you're going to let me know. That's good. And Nighthawk wants to know, when did you DJ your first wedding and how did you deal with your nerves? So for those who, I've mentioned this before, I really don't do wedding gigs. I'm definitely not a wedding DJ. I've done 3 weddings, I think, 3 or 4. And those weddings all occurred when I was already DJing for a really long time. So there weren't too many nerves to deal with, even though it felt a little bit different because the first one I did, I started to DJ at basically the reception. So after they were already married, and it did have a little bit of a different feeling, but I don't want to call that nerves. So I've only done like 3 or 4 weddings, and in all cases, those weddings were weddings where I was booked to play the way I normally play. So I did not DJ the way a wedding DJ would play. They have to be way more diverse. They have to have a lot of communication with the wedding planners, you name it. I have to do announcements, all of that. And in my case, I was just booked by people who either knew me for a long time or who always used to come to my parties, and they wanted to have that vibe for their wedding. So I got to play hip hop, R&B, New Jack Swing, and dancehall, and that was it. So, and I did not have to bring like all of the equipment and all of that stuff. Now, when it comes to dealing with nerves, what I always say is, especially for beginner DJs, when it comes to dealing with nerves, of course, don't be scared to make mistakes, because you will. I will add, of course, if you're going to DJ for a wedding, there's a different feeling to it because this is a couple's special day. And for some people, it is like the one of the most important days in their life. I know a lot of people really live up to that moment. And if you keep that in mind, that might add some extra tension because you really don't want to mess up at someone's wedding. But like if we're talking small mix mistakes, I mean, that will happen and you shouldn't worry about that. That is the first thing I tell people. Like if you go into it thinking you need to perform the perfect set, that's going to mess with your head, because if you go in with that mindset, like this has to be perfect, the first time you make a mistake, even if it's a little mistake, it'll start to mess with you because now you're telling yourself, oh, I'm messing up. It's not perfect anymore. And you don't want that. You want to just focus on the party. And yeah, you'll make mistakes. And like hopefully not major like train wreck mix mistakes. But even if that happens, as soon as you bring in a new track that they like, they're not thinking about that mix mistake anymore and continue on. All right. Let's see. DJ Big V says starting back next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. So let's see. That should be 6 p.m. for me. Okay, well, I'll let me double check if I'm following you on Twitch. Should be. So that should be okay for me. So when I get that notification, I'm not in the middle of like some work, I'll make sure to click. Yeah, T-Babs, no doubt, man. It was fun to see. And I mean, like you said, like normally you play with the 1000, right? But now you had to play with the SB3. It's like jumping, and even though you knew the SB3, you do have to make that little switch because it is a different device. It takes a second. You don't have the same amount of features. Wait a minute. So this is the one thing I hate about this chair. It shouldn't happen, but it does. It slowly goes down a little bit. Beyond that, besides that, the chair is perfectly cool. I like it. I had to get like an ergonomical chair. I've had this for quite a few months now. But I started to notice that every once in a while when I'm sitting here, like I noticed that I was a little bit lower, and it happened again now. We'll probably see that happen during this stream one more time, that I'll be lowering in the frame a little bit. Trippy Effects, what's going on? Salute to you. Do DJs usually make a specific set every time they play, or can I just play straight out my genre crate? All depends on the DJ. So for me, I do not play a specific set. I just have crates. I go into those crates and play. If I'm doing a live stream, I'll go off feeling and maybe check out the chat a little bit for some feedback. If I'm playing in a venue, then I'm reading the crowd reaction and I'll let that guide me. But I don't have a specific set. And even if I go out, so last week I did a quick set, a half-hour set for a company called Sneaker Jagers. Basically, if you translate it, it will be sneaker hunters. They're a website / platform about sneakers. You can find sneakers and all of that. And my bro Turn, DJ Turn, also from Amsterdam, he's working with them, and he has his new show there called The Turnover. And he does a set one week, and the next week he has a guest on. Now, he wanted me on for the first show. Couldn't make it happen at that time. And this time we were able to make it happen. So I was able to do episode 8 for him. And we recorded that at his crib. I knew I had 30 minutes. The only thing I did to prepare for that is I looked in 2 folders on my computer, saw a bunch of tracks that I liked that I was like, yeah, I think I like to play that. And I probably had twice the amount of tracks that I would actually be able to fit into 30 minutes. So I knew I had enough tracks in the crate, and that was it. Went over there. He had the entire setup, green screen, lights, camera, you name it. He told me, you want to like check something out? I was like, no. All I got to do is see which track I'm going to play first. And I quickly found that track. I knew exactly which track. When I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play that because I knew he was going to love that track. That was my starting point, and I had no idea what I was going to play next. The only thing I knew is I'm going to play music from this crate because I'm recording this, and I don't want to spend too much time looking through a lot of folders. So basically, I only had a flash drive with those files, plugged it into his laptop. He had everything there, turntables, phase, you name it, S9. So still freestyled it. And that's how I normally play. And then you have DJs who prepare their entire set. And sometimes when you hear the same DJs a couple of times, you'll hear kind of a bunch of repetitive stuff because you can tell like, okay, we played together last week in that city. Now I'm seeing you again, and I'm basically hearing the same set. For some DJs, that's actually normal. Some DJs will do a tour and you see some footage online and then you can tell like, hey, they have a prepared set and they do that set for every stop of their tour. And I'm not knocking that at all. If that works for you, then go for it. I personally just feel more comfortable doing freestyle, and I have a problem with being repetitive for myself. So I probably after gig 3 would not like to be doing the same set again. Even though it's a new crowd, they're hearing it for the first time. I don't know. It doesn't feel right for me. Even though you can compare something like that to an artist. If an artist comes over to perform and they perform their songs, they have a set list. I've been performing with Brainpower for 23 years. We're in year 23 now. And when we have a tour, we have a set list for that tour. That's not freestyle. So I can understand how some DJs will prefer to have like a prepared set list when they go on tour and they have to do flights and everything. So they don't want to worry about that. So to each his own, and that will be different for every DJ. Just Hack in the building. Salute, salute, salute. And Lueda has a question here. The question is, what's the best way for an old head DJ, 80s, 90s, don't call us old, who's getting back in to get up to speed with new tech? To me, the beauty of the options that we have with the tech for DJs is that there's a lot of technology that will allow you to play almost the same way that you used to play, feeling wise, and enjoy new tech. So I started in the turntable era. I prefer that way of playing, the feel of turntables. And nowadays we have all these options. You have CDJs, you have all-in-one standalone devices, you have controllers to control DJ software, and you also have the option to use DVS, a digital vinyl system, and use your turntables with a piece of vinyl on your turntable to control the music in your DJ software. So yes, you will have to get familiar with using DJ software because it's not the same thing as having crates, physical crates there and looking for vinyl. You're going to be scrolling through folders now, and you have to load them into virtual decks. But the control part of it would still be the same because you're still using a mixer and turntables, and you're already familiar with that part. So I think for a lot of people, that could be dope. Then again, I know a lot of DJs who used to DJ and they don't have their equipment anymore, and they just want to get back into it, not even to DJ in a club, but just to have something at home to have that DJ vibe again. Then a controller might even be a better option because it doesn't take up a lot of space, but you will have to adjust to the feeling. Especially with like small controllers, you're going to have a jog wheel instead of a moving platter. That's a little bit different, even though you can also get controllers with moving platters. But there's a ton of options. But if you want the feel that you already know, then you have options with turntables. Question by Brian. The question is about video mixing with Serato Video. Is it best to go with random visuals, or do you have any in particular you like? I just started into video mixing at the bar I've been playing at. Well, when I do, and I haven't done them in a while, but when I did video mixes, I'm mixing music videos. So I never really played around with visuals too much. I just have a big library of music videos. And then I'm basically DJing the same way I would normally DJ with music. But instead of having music, now you have music and the accompanying, I don't even know if that's a word, but you have the video to go with it. And it's pretty cool to play that way. The only thing I noticed when I did it in club settings is a bunch of times you could see that the crowd wasn't dancing as much because they started to spend too much attention looking at the videos. So I wouldn't say if it's best to go random visuals, but I just never did that. I used music videos. Okay, so Nighthawk was talking about stage lights. So for all the DJs in the chat, for all the mobile DJs in the chat, if you have any advice when it comes to stage lights, let Nighthawk know in the chat. Because again, I have no experience, no knowledge when it comes to speakers and lighting for stage setups. Nighthawk, what is a Disney gig? Let me know. Cranon, what's going on? Good to see you. And Brian says, evidently folks are checking them out, though it's not a dance crowd. More off shooting pool, drinking, never any issue. Oh, that's about the videos, right? Yeah. And what's your favorite, most fun event to play at? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've done plenty of gigs that were a lot of fun. So to give a broad answer, the gigs where you can truly play what you want to play and have an audience that really appreciates what you're playing is the most fun to me. A lot of times when you're playing in a club or just playing at a party, yes, you're playing the music you like, but you do feel a bit of a restriction a lot of times, because most of the times when you're dealing with a crowd that is more general, they want to hear the hits. They want to hear that genre or the genres that they love and came to hear, and that's it. But I did play at a smaller venue in the Netherlands for a while, and when I was playing there, I could play whatever I want to play, and the crowd was loving it. And when you start to feel that freedom, you could be in the middle of playing some hip hop, and then you're like, let me grab a ska track and play some ska right now. You bring it in, and they love it. And then you go back to some hip hop or do something totally different. Like whatever came to mind, I could play. That is a lovely feeling. So that is something I always remember. Now, when it comes to one of my favorite gigs I ever did, it was a gig that I did here in Amsterdam at a club called Paradiso. I played there many times, but this was kind of a special night. We had a bunch of live events and like dope acts, Pharaoh Monch, you name it. And the crowd was crazy. It was like the main room. All the acts did their thing. The vibe was crazy hype. After concerts, it can go both ways. It all depends on if people really came to party or just came for the acts. Now, in this case, the acts were as hip-hop as can be. After that, it was my time to play. I was hyped by the concerts of all the acts that I just saw. And I just got into a zone. I don't know. The crowd lost it. But I was jumping just as high as the crowd with every track I was playing. I was feeling it so much, but the entire crowd was as well. And that feeling is just, I mean, of course, as DJs, when you get feedback from the audience, that is a wonderful feeling. But that one was special and different, but I can't really explain. I can't put it into words. But we all probably have one of those gigs where after the gig, you're like, that was amazing. And that was one of those. TV on Mixcloud, salute to you. It's funny you say it's been a while. It hasn't been a while. I've seen you probably like 2 weeks ago. I saw a couple of you in here like, hey, good to see you again. When I know I haven't that I've seen you in the past couple of weeks. But I appreciate that love, though. Let's see. Okay, Patrick says I'm playing drum and bass, a lot of double drops, fast mixing, 4-deck stuff. Okay, still active, but kind of got bored with always doing the same things with CDJs, turntables, and mixers. So I got the DJ 2000 to have a new challenge. Because I wonder what kind of new challenge a 2000 could bring to you. Oh, wait, the mixer, the 2000 Nexus. Well, okay, maybe it can, because I was thinking more in line if you're looking for more challenges, I think it might be even doper for you to start really incorporating software and having like samplers and extra stuff there, bringing samplers and Ableton and stuff into the mix, to really take it to another level, because it sounds like you really are into performing. And if you use like 4 decks and all of that, then maybe that will be dope to do. But I think you're going to say even more. Yeah, because I don't have a lot of experience, or I don't have experience when it comes to the 2000. I think I've played with that. Have I actually played with that, or have I only like looked at it? I know I did a gig at a radio station where they had one, but I think for that gig I actually brought my own mixer, because it is like the 2000 is like that big spaceship with the, where is it? I want to see it. Give me a larger picture. Yeah, they had that one. So I mean, I honestly can't tell you. Like, I do know if you have this and you have CDJs and everything is connected through ProLink, I do believe you can do some incredible stuff, but I've never used it. I saw it and I was like, okay, it has a bunch of possibilities, but I'm not the DJ for that. So it just wasn't really for me, because I'm pretty basic when it comes to what I use on a mixer. And yeah, I mean, that's like for most mixers, of course, the basic functions, if you're a DJ and you see a new mixer, you'll find the basic features and you can probably do a set. But with something like that 2000, it has particular things that other mixers don't have. So you really need to spend some time. So I would say lock yourself in a room with that thing. I hope there's some good video info available online. Probably should be. And try to find out what you can do with that. And once you figure it out, let me know or post something. I'd love to see that. All right, so T-Bab says, I was at one of my events last weekend. Then I noticed the left jog wheel on my DDJ 1000 was very loose despite tightening it to the max. I'm not a big scratcher, but I noticed it doesn't respond fast enough. I took it back to where I brought it, and they confirmed that. Ah, okay. So if anyone else ever had that with the 1000? But I'm lucky they. I'm glad they took it back and they'll fix it for you. Henny Bone was good. Was good. Still learning to beat match by ear. Any suggestion for beat matching exercises? I think one of the most important things when you're learning how to beat match, of course, I don't know what if you're having difficulties with any specific part, but I found the most important thing for me when it comes to beat matching is learning how to focus on one particular sound, one particular part of the song. So in my case, most of the times I was focusing on the snare for both tracks. So which element of the track am I going to use to sync the tracks by ear? So if you're playing a lot of house music, you're working with a lot of kick drums, and then you can probably just focus on the kick drum, but that's not the music I play. So especially with hip hop and R&B, I had to learn to focus on something else beside the kick, and the snare drum worked really well for me. But it depends on if you're having issues with anything in particular. So I see Mixmaster G with a suggestion: have a music radio show on one channel through an aux input on the mixer, and try to mix a track into whatever they're playing. Yeah, so that's of course a way to like play. You now have to mix into music that you might not even know. So that's a fun way to keep practice interesting as well. Spaceman 200, what's going on? My opinion on Phase is that I absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it to the fullest. I've been very happy with Phase, and yeah, I continue to feel that is one of the biggest game changers, and I do not use that word loosely. You won't hear me mention that a lot. Phase was a game changer. Now, I know a lot of DJs had issues in the beginning. I feel that for most DJs, those issues have been solved. I never really had those issues and love it. The only time I've had issues, I could tell that it was not phase that was the issue, but it was the computer I was using. So, for instance, I see Mixmaster G say that since they added the HID for Serato, it's great. I remember when they did the last update, and I tried to do that with my older DJ laptop, I cannot use that HID, the wireless mode, at all. Plugged it up to the studio computer, same day, that worked perfectly. So I knew that was not phase, that was actually the computer. But no, I love it. I truly love using it. Even though I'm now back into needles again because of my vinyl episodes, whenever I'm using Serato, I'm bringing phase. It just eliminates a lot of the issues that were issues in the past. When I went to venues and I did not know the state of the turntables, it meant that anything could be wrong with the turntables. And most of the time that would be like the RCA cable or the tone arm, or my needle would break, anything like that. And all of that is just taken out of the equation when you bring in phase. The only thing that has to work is it has to spin, and hopefully that the pitch is somewhat okay on the turntables. And then phase is there to save the day for me. So I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Nighthawk is planning to go to the XDJ XZ from an SB3. That's a major, major upgrade right there. Yes. Vlad, what up? Do you think video or streaming your sets gives an advantage as far as getting booked versus releasing just audio sets, SoundCloud, etc.? Yeah, to a certain degree, for sure. For sure. Let's put it like this. If you have mixes online, that's one thing. People can hear a mix, but when people actually get to see you play, that's going to be a different experience. And it might tell someone a lot more about your whole DJ style, because that mix could be something that was just prepared or doctored together on a computer. That might not be the way you play when you're playing. So a live stream is in most occasions going to be a more honest representation of how you would play a live set compared to a mixtape that could be made perfect. I know for a fact that I made my mixtapes to sound as good as possible, not as a selling tool, but because I wanted that to be something that people could listen to over and over. So I want it to be perfect in any way it could be. And you can do that when you're making a mixtape. It's not a live session. You're making a mixtape. You're producing a mixtape. Now, I never went over the top, so you won't hear things on mixtapes that I can't do live, but still you make sure that everything's going to be as good as can be. So no strange things with levels, your EQ and everything is okay. But when you see me during a live stream, there are going to be little mistakes in there that you won't hear on my mixtape. But you also get to see how I play when I play. Mo Berry, I saw you. I appreciate that subscription. Thank you. Let's see. Mixmaster G says, unless you're an established name in your area, neither will really get you bookings. Only like real life networking does. I think there is a lot of truth in that. So that doesn't change my statement. I do believe that streaming is a more honest representation of how you DJ. But of course, if you're streaming and nobody sees your stream, the chances that someone who can actually book you sees your stream are going to be slim. But then again, if you grow your stream and you grow your audience, you never know. But I would not say that streaming is going to guarantee any gigs. That is for sure. Miles Vico, what's going on? Salute. I've been DJing for 6 years and I'm getting frustrated. Nothing goes my way. What should I do? I feel like giving up. Miles, you'll have to elaborate, man. You'll have to elaborate, because you've been DJing for 6 years and you're getting frustrated. But with what? So when you say nothing goes my way, what does that mean? Does that mean that you're not getting gigs? Because if that's the case, then you should dissect what have you actually done to possibly achieve that. But I mean, I can't speak because I'm not sure what this is. It's pretty honest that you're at the moment that you're kind of not motivated. You feel like giving up. But you have to let me know what is causing the frustration. All right, Nighthawk has a question. The question is, what BPM range do you usually pull from when you're DJing and trying to pick songs? It can go in a lot of directions, especially because hip hop is my main thing, and you have a lot of different pockets when it comes to hip hop. Now, one of my favorite ranges would probably be between, let's say, 90 to 100, 105. But then again, if we go a little bit more old school and I go to the 80s hip hop and I bring in like some 90s New Jack Swing, then we're going to go to like from 112 all the way up to maybe 125. And there's a lot of dope stuff happening in the 80s too. But if we're going to switch it and we're going to play some more trap type sound, hip hop I'm talking about, then we're talking a lot of 70 or 140 BPM. So I can have fun in all ranges, but if I would have to name my favorite range, the favorite vibe, I would most likely get from, let's say, 85 to 105. And during my streams, I do all sorts of things. Trippy effects. Let's see. That helped a lot. I want to play what I feel is right and from the heart. But it's hard when you spend more time stressing on prepping than what is more important. Yes, I mean, for me, that's the thing. That's why, I mean, I've seen DJs prep their entire set, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I've also seen those DJs perform, and sometimes they came with their prepared set, and the crowd was not feeling it. So then you spend all that time, the crowd is not feeling it, and some DJs were able to kind of adapt, but I've also seen DJs who just stuck to their guns, played their prepared set, even though you could tell after the first 3-4 songs that the crowd was not feeling it. Continue to play, and you could just see the crowd die down. And I was like, wow. Like, there were 2 other DJs there, I think, and we were all looking at each other like, okay, this guy is actually going to continue with that set. When we could all clearly see, like, the crowd is not into it. And we had people coming up to the side to the booth, like, asking us, like, yo, when are you going to play again? Now, I'm not going to name the name because it was quite a big DJ, international DJ. And I think he had just done, like, he was DJing for a major artist. Like, the artist had performed at a large venue, and this was an after party at a different pretty large club. So that first venue was like an arena-sized, stadium-sized thing. This was the after party. I suspect that DJ just came with that artist from the U.S. leg of the tour, and that probably that sound worked in the States. So that DJ just came in with that set and was like, I'm going to play that here. I think that was at the time when we were not really into the new trap kind of sound that was coming out. So the tempo is totally different, and our audience here wasn't ready for that yet, or not into it yet. So after like 3 tracks, you could tell like they were not feeling that bounce at all. And if you're used to, like, let's say the 90 to 105 whatever type BPM, and someone hits you with 70 BPM, that sounds really slow. And I've seen a lot of people from a different era go to a club in recent years, and they're hearing that vibe, and you can tell that they're like, I don't know how to dance to this. And you can see that was happening with that audience as well. Why is that playing? I had something else in the background. I don't want to see me there. Whatever. Okay. So yeah, that's why I don't like to prepare. I'd rather just the prep I want to do and that I even don't do enough now for my live streams. I did do that preparation for the mix that I recorded for Sneakerjagers, the live mix. The prep I want to do is just know what's in my folders, and if possible, make sure I set all my cue points. So that's what I did do. And compared to my live streams, where a lot of times I don't even do that, that did feel more, made me feel like more in control, because every track I had in that folder was prepared. It had all the cue points, and some had like loops in there that I could go to. And that makes your DJing job even easier, because now I can really focus on creating that vibe. All right. Six has another question. The question is, in Rekordbox, how do you get BeatSource link track names to display correctly? For example, the Hip Hop Edits playlist will list 3 different versions of a song: intro, instrumental, dirty, clean. But in Rekordbox, it doesn't display which versions they are. If I remember correctly, this is something they're working on. I think it was addressed. I'm not sure. Nine Iron, I see you. Chris on the mix is here. Good to see you. Okay, so Miles, no bookings at all. I just practice daily indoors. It's gotten to a point where it's frustrating me. Now, in this time, like if this was before the pandemic, it would have been a little bit different, because then we could like dive into it deeper. But in this case, of course, it is a little bit different. Like, I used to DJ a lot. I have no gigs at all right now, but it's not because people don't want to book me. It's because there's no gigs right now. So I want to continue with you for a second, Miles, because you say no bookings at all. You just practice daily indoors. But what were you doing to get gigs? Because that's the important part. Because if I mean, we can practice at home all day. That's cool. We can practice at home all day. But what else were you doing? So let me know that. Watson Vinyl Only. Salute, salute, salute. Watson, I tried to stream last week on Wednesday with Share the Knowledge, but that was from the house, and I had like ridiculous technical difficulties. Though I couldn't get the Wi-Fi right, and the laptop was not giving me, or OBS was not working. Like, the drop frames were out of control. Then I lost audio. I don't know. It just wasn't working. So I tried a couple of times, and then I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. I have to skip it. And I did not do my my mix because of a holiday thing, but I'll be back mixing on Monday again. So I think that's it. Let's see. Okay. A Disney gig is where you just play Disney songs. No, I've never done that. And no, that's not something I aspire to do. No. I mean, I have played Disney tracks, by the way. When I did some DJ gigs at my oldest son's like primary school for little kids. I mean, I was using Algorithm DJ. And at that time, they still had the Spotify integration, and kids would ask for all sorts of like kids tracks. Some tracks I never heard of, some I had heard of. And there were definitely a couple of Disney soundtrack theme songs that were played. But no, like that's not a gig. Beyond that, that was a lot of fun to do with those kids. I would not do a booking like that. This was for my own son. The school was very small. I knew all those kids, so that's a lot of fun. But you could never book me to come play at a kid's party and play Disney tracks. That's just not what I would do. Laura123, what up, what up? How do you play music with a faster beat if you're always matching the beat of the previous song. I love this question. Do you increase the beat pace in the middle of a song? So yes, that is absolutely a great question, because I see some DJs get stuck in this. So there's a couple of things we have to cover. First off, don't mix everything. That is the first solution, not only because it allows you to more easily switch your tempo, even though if you're going from one track to another and you just bring it in on the one, you don't want to make a 10 BPM jump, because that's going to scare your crowd. But if you're dropping tracks on the one, your next track could actually be like a couple percent faster. And within a couple of tracks, you could be 10 BPM higher. But besides that, you have a lot of tracks that might have an epic intro that you don't want to mix in. You just want to let that one play. So that's one thing. Don't mix everything. Beyond that, when I'm mixing, yes, a lot of times I will adjust the BPM, the tempo, while a track is playing. So for instance, I might have a track playing and the track is whatever, 98. The next track I have is 102. So it's faster, and I don't want to slow that one down too much. So what I normally would do is in the beginning, I will slow that one down substantially, but I also, while the 98 track is playing, I slowly start to speed that up while that one is still playing. And of course, especially now, if you're using DJ software or a lot of hardware, you have master tempo, which allows you to speed it up without changing the pitch of the song. So it's not as noticeable. When we were using vinyl, and if you would, while the track is playing, you would speed it up like 1 or 2 and do it bluntly, you could hear the change in pitch. So you don't want that to happen. So I'm used to the vinyl era. So I'm used to like really slowly increasing, or sometimes when I want to go down, decreasing the pitch, the tempo. And I'll make sure that that 98 track is actually probably closer to 100. And the 102 track that I have here, I'll bring that down to 100, mix it in. But as soon as that 100 track is playing, I'll slowly start to speed it up again, bring it back at least to its original tempo. And now I've moved up like 4 BPM. So never feel like you have to always like, okay, this track is 98, so I have to bring the other one down to 98. And then you're staying stuck in that same tempo. So you have the option to change. Now, what you can also do, if you want a little bit of a more drastic change because you don't have enough time on the song to do it really slow, what I sometimes do is I'll wait for the end of a sentence while someone is saying something. I'll grab my high pass filter, and while the person, the artist, is singing or rapping that sentence, I'll throw that effect over it. But while I throw the effect over it, I'll increase that speed like 1 or maybe even 2 and then bring it back. Because I applied that filter, you're not noticing that tempo switch. So it's a sneaky little trick that I can apply. If I feel I need to speed this up now, I'll use that effect to kind of trick you or trick your ear so you're not noticing that I actually bumped it up pretty quick. But most of the times during my live streams, you might see I have a track playing and I have a new track coming in, but I'm not only adjusting that pitch, a lot of times I'm also adjusting the pitch on the track that's playing. But I do that subtle, and that one can be done a little bit more. So I hope that answers your question. Joe Dunn says, when it comes to beat juggling with phase, it took some adjustment where I placed my fingers on the record because it takes up some real estate on the record. Did this take some adjustment for you? No, not really. But I think it all depends on hand placement. So if you're used to basically using a lot of that real estate, then yes, you might have to adjust a little bit because now you have that thing there and normally that wasn't there. I haven't really noticed that. So when I'm doing like the quick backspins or whatever, it hasn't gotten in the way for me. So for me, it works great. Miles says, any DJ gears you want to help out with? In what way, Miles? But first, we got to get back to the other one, Miles. You got to tell us what you've done to try to get gigs. Nighthawk, ever think about making your own DJ business? So what is a DJ business? So is that a business where people can book DJs and that I have DJs that I try to book? If that's what you're asking, then no, I've never thought about doing that. I found it plenty. I found I have plenty of work just making sure I got my own bookings, and I have too much going on that I have going on or want to do that I have on my list that no, that's not something I aspire to do. Hey, Raider One, Aruba, good to see you. That's a long time indeed. That is a long time. I haven't seen your name in quite some time. My top 3 genres of music other than rap, hip hop. R&B for sure. And let's see what would be my favorite genres of music besides that. So we're not going to call New Jack Swing a different genre because that's basically a mix of hip hop and R&B. I would say next to that, probably reggae, funk for sure. So Parliament Funkadelic, Ohio Players, that type of stuff. Yeah, R&B, reggae, and funk. Let's stick with that. Dominique, what's good? What's your opinion on hard techno sets that last 2 hours? I want to make it hard, but also not just loud noises. I don't know. No, so just for real, I really don't know anything about techno, playing techno, hard techno. So I really can't comment on that. I have no idea at all. Okay, so Just Hack also had an issue with the 1000 jog wheel, and that was a tension cable. The real DJ Black is in the building. Salute. I'm transitioning from controller to turntable. I'm looking into getting the Reloop 8000 and a Rain 72 Mark I. Going to be using Serato. Do I need a DVS interface if I'm not using phase? Your Rain 72 is your DVS interface, so you do not need a separate device. That's the great thing about a lot of the new scratch mixers, like a Rain 72, like Pioneer's S7, S9, S11, like Reloop's Elite Mixer, and there's a lot more. They have an audio interface built in, so you don't need anything extra. You can just connect the Reloops to the Rain 72 to make that all work. Collector Ski Music, good to see you. All right, the question is what computer I use for DJing. And at the moment, I would say my studio computer because my DJ laptop, that is a laptop I borrowed, it is not holding up anymore. So I've used a lot of different laptops during my digital DJ years. So before that, of course, I had a ton of years of just playing vinyl. And then I started to transition to digital DJing with DVS. First with Final Scratch and then Serato. So I used a Windows laptop first, an Asus laptop. Used that for quite a while. Then I switched to a MacBook. So not a MacBook Pro, but a MacBook, the black one. Had that one for years. Then I had to switch to a Windows laptop for a while because I couldn't afford a new Mac. And I used a Lenovo laptop, nothing spectacular or anything specific. Not like a gaming laptop or whatever. It just had okay specs that it would just do the job. And then I switched to a MacBook Pro. and that was I think 2000. I'm not sure anymore. I think 2012 MacBook Pro. And I used that for a bunch of years until that one kind of died. And that was my last laptop until 2 years ago. And luckily, my homeboy MIC was able to hook me up with an old Surface Book 1. That's a Microsoft laptop, Windows laptop. That is what I used to DJ for quite a bit. And it was doing the job okay. It couldn't handle everything. So I knew, so for instance, when I tried to use Tractor with my S4, the laptop did not really like that, but Serato was working just fine. Rekordbox was working, but I can tell that it's not holding up anymore. So for the last 6 months or something, I've been DJing. When I'm live streaming, I'm DJing from the studio computer. So the computer I'm using right now to live stream, when I'm streaming, I'm also DJing from that computer. It's not ideal. I prefer to just have a laptop, but I mean, for now it's been working, and yeah, I just need a new laptop. And it's probably gonna be a Mac, not because you can't DJ with Windows laptops, because like I just explained in my history, I've used plenty of Windows laptops, but because there are certain things I can't do with the Windows laptop. And the most important thing for me is algorithm DJ. I use it on my iPad and I have it on my phone, but it's not, there's no Windows version, and I want to use the full version, and I need a Mac for that. And also because I want to use the conversion utility tools that Mixmaster G has, and they're also Mac only. So yeah, the next laptop will most likely be a Mac, even though currently I can't get one. So we'll see when that happens. Now, that's my only luck, and I do not want to call it luck, that I don't have gigs right now. So I haven't needed a laptop in the last year and a half. But when things open up, I will need to have a laptop again. Now, when it comes to, because your question was also specs, like you just need to make sure that if it's going to be a laptop that you're going to be carrying around, you want something that has good build quality. Besides that, you just want something with a processor that's powerful enough. So you don't have, if you're going to get like a Windows computer, you don't have to get like something with an i9 or a Ryzen 9, whatever in there. You don't need that. You can do with an i7, probably i5. But you want something that's powerful enough. But DJ software doesn't need a ridiculously powerful computer. Now, you do want to make sure you get an SSD, not a laptop with a hard drive. Can't do that anymore. Get an SSD and make sure you have plenty of RAM. So I would go for 16. More is great, but 16 should cover you just fine. If you plan to do stuff with video, DJ with video or edit, then you're going to need a good GPU in there as well. But if it's just DJing, that's not that important. Clifford's son from Malaysia, good to see you. And DJ Costa Rica's in the building. And as I can tell right now, I am, it's one of those days again. I'm 25 minutes behind. So if you're in the chat and I haven't shouted you out yet, is because I'm now reading comments from 25 minutes ago. Queen Caesar, salute to you as well. And Vlad, I appreciate that. I appreciate that super chat. I only just saw it right now. Queen Caesars, throughout your DJ career, how have you managed to navigate around friends/clients that try to tell you that you're charging too much as a DJ? Every DJ's price is different, etc. But if people believe in you and want you, they'll pay you for your worth. Yeah, I totally agree. 1 second though. AMW DJ salute, and Redbeard salute to you as well on Mixcloud. I agree. So let's take it back for a second. And Sean, I see you as well on Mixcloud. Queen Caesar. So your friends telling you that you're charging too much as a DJ. Those friends are trying to book you for gigs. So clients, I understand. So now look, some people will try to lowball you. That is a fact, because they're trying to pay the least, the lowest amount they can pay. That is a fact. They don't want to pay. And I've had plenty of like clients tell me like, hey, this is what we have. This is our budget. If that budget doesn't fit my price, I'll let them know like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. This is what I charge. And I might put in that high anchor, like this is my high price, but I could possibly do it for this. That might be a little bit lower price, but it's still higher than what they had. A lot of times, all of a sudden, they can come up with more money. And that already lets you know, like, you were just trying to lowball me. Then again, the market is the market. So if everyone tells you that you're charging too much and you're not getting any bookings, then maybe you're charging too much. So I'm not saying that's the case for you, but that could be the case because I know that like people will pay certain amounts for certain DJs that they won't pay for you or for me. And I've had that happen before. I was on a roster for a booking agency for a while years ago, and a certain client wanted to book DJs and they didn't really want to pay my amount. I don't remember what the amount was that they were charging for me at that time. Might have been, I don't know, it might have been 500 or it could have been 500 or 700 for like a 2-hour set. Maybe, could be. They didn't want to pay it, but they did end up booking a DJ team that's also on the roster. And that DJ team at that time was like putting out singles and video clips with artists. And they booked that DJ team for $2,200. So that's the market right there. I did not have anything like that going on around my name. So they're right. Like I probably couldn't pull in the same amount of people. So they felt that my 500 or 700 was too much. But they did pay $2,200 for another DJ on the same roster. But those DJs had, more happening. So the market will decide. But of course, if someone or people are telling you you're charging too much and they don't book you, that might mean one thing. If they can all of a sudden go up in price, then they were trying to lowball you. And I've seen that happen plenty of times. Anytime they can cut costs, the first thing they look at is the DJ. Felix T, what up, what up? I learned DJing with your tutorials. That's dope. 4 years passed and I'm consolidated in my city as a good DJ playing regularly. I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So congrats to you. And Vlad, my pleasure. So once again, I appreciate that super chat. Ever think about DJing in the USA? I actually have DJed in the USA. So not like on on a steady base or whatever. But I've played in Philly, but that was back in like '98. So I haven't played a lot of gigs there. So yeah, that is on my mind to hopefully one day get back there and maybe do a couple more gigs, at least visit a couple more places that I've never been before, and either a gig or maybe a combo where I can go somewhere and like come talk and maybe play. So we'll see what happens in the future. Like again, the last year and a half has been crazy. Actually, I was gonna DJ in LA at the start of the pandemic. So I had a nice gig lined up for an E3, the gaming convention, E3 after party at a club in LA, 1,500 people. That was going to be like super dope. Then the whole E3 and everything else got canceled. And yeah, there went my gig. So we'll see. All right, 9 Iron says, Twitch is great for experimenting. I'll be in groove, then notice someone in the room, then sometimes casually bring something in just for that person, and then carry on as before sometimes. Hey, you can do that, man, for sure. James, what's going on? Salute to you. James Hughes. A lot of times people try to pronounce my last name like that, but I'm missing the H in the end. So you don't pronounce it use. And I know Americans can't pronounce that at all because y'all have problems with like when the G is pronounced like a that kills you. All right, so this is something I want to talk about. Felix T has a question here. What do you do when people constantly ask for their song for you to play? So requests, because I did see, like I said, the last couple of weeks, I did not check as much social media, emails, nothing. But I did check a couple of things, and I saw a clip from a podcast, and they were talking about what they charged for to play tracks, so what they charge for requests. And they were naming all sorts of prices. Like, yeah, it kind of depends on where I am. If it's Vegas, I might charge this much. If it's a track I totally don't like and it's in Vegas, I might charge like $500. If it's like a normal club and a song I might play anyway, I might charge $100. And like I have my own position when it comes to requests. But the first thing I want to mention is every DJ has to decide how they want to handle requests, if they actually want to take requests or not. So if you don't like requests, then you can just tell people that you don't do requests, because some people will not learn if you like give them little hints. So with some people, it might work if they name a song, like, can you play this? And you're like, I'll check later. For some, that works fine. You'll never hear them again. Some might be back after 20 minutes like, okay, did you find it? In the past, for a lot of times, I would just tell them, like, when they were requesting songs, I would be like pretending to look, and they're like, I don't have it. At a certain point, I didn't even feel like really doing that. And especially if people started to request songs that made no sense, and a lot of times people will request songs that make no sense, I would just let them know, like, no, I'm not doing that. And people can take that how they want to take it. If people ask for songs that do fit the party and the vibe, then I'll let them know, like, yeah, I'm playing that a little bit later. Just also to let them know that it's not because they're asking it. Now, again, every DJ can have their own philosophy when it comes to this. And I've also said before that on some occasions, a request actually saved my gig, because I have had like a gig or two where it was just so unclear what that crowd was into because they were giving me no feedback. So I could not tell what their vibe was until a couple of people out of that crowd started to request specific songs. And in that case, they were basically speaking for half the crowd because they were asking me about songs. I was like, let me try it. Try that song. And all of a sudden I got way more of a reaction from the crowd than I've gotten before. And that told me, like, oh, okay, so this is your vibe. So it helped me out. But to take it back to the original topic I wanted to talk about. They were talking about charging for requests. I don't do that. I'm against it for myself. I've had it happen before that people wanted to hear a song and started to wave money. Not even small amounts. Like a pretty substantial amount, in my opinion. Like if someone's waving 100 and you're getting paid a couple of hundred for a gig, 100 is a lot of money. I just personally feel that I can't be bought and I'm not a jukebox. And I don't want to enable you to feel that you can buy me. I'm doing my job. I'm there to rock the crowd. I'll do my best to please the crowd, but you're not buying my direction. That's me. So those DJs were clearly talking about like, hey, I charge this much, I charge that much. I also know certain situations where people play in like smaller venues like bars where they actually like have a tip jar and people can come up with a request and put something in. I respect that. Each and every DJ has to do what they want to do. So what I wanted to know from y'all in the chat is, do you take requests and do you charge for requests? Do you have a way to deal with requests? Because that's always interesting to hear. But if someone keeps coming up and you just don't want to do the request, then you just got to be honest with them. If it's a lot of drunk people, which can happen also, then I would also try to check to see if security is around to come handle that. Because what people fail to understand, especially when they have a couple of drinks in them, is that you're doing a job. It's not like you're just one of the party goers on the dance floor with them. You're there as a DJ doing your job. You can't walk into the local butcher shop and get behind the counter or lean over the counter and tell them how to cut the meat. That's not how it works. And that's how I feel about my job as well. But I just don't want people to have that idea that they can just wave money and I'm going to do what they want to do. But that's my personal opinion. And I've always felt that way. I'm not a jukebox. You can't put money in me to get a certain track. Even if it's a song that I'm already going to play. Because then I'm still giving you the idea that your money just bought me. And I'm just not with that. Let's see. Costa Rica is here with a question. Let's see. Oh, no, that's not a question. I got you. Donald Cannon, I appreciate that super chat right here. I've been told my song selection is bad, where I got a good song, then I'll flatline, then play another song, tired of flatlining. Any suggestions? I mean, reading the crowd is really important. So if you got a good song, a song that works for the crowd, that's going to give you an indication of what that crowd likes when it comes to genre, energy, you name it. So if your next song is something totally different and it's not working, then that tells you something. So within a couple of tracks, you should have a general idea of which direction you can take it. Most of the time, not always. And sometimes you might be in a situation where the crowd consists of such a wide variety of people that you really can't please the crowd. So I've played at a corporate event where you have people from 10 years to like 100. And everyone had, like, you had some kids, then you had some teenagers, then you had a lot of like people in their 30s, and then you had like people in their 50s, 60s and up. So it's real hard to then get a lot of tracks in there that are going to work for the entire crowd. But I think reading your crowd is an important factor here. Because yes, you can flatline by playing a track that the crowd is totally not feeling. But if you have an idea of what the vibe is and what kind of people you're dealing with, that should also let you know what type of music they'll most likely react to. And research can help as well. So if you're going to be playing at an event, you want to know in advance, what's the theme? Is there a specific theme? So is this being promoted with certain genres in mind? So that will give you an idea of like, okay, this is going to be a hip hop R&B party, or this is going to be open format, so anything goes, which makes it a little bit harder. But at least you need to make sure you bring music for those different genres if you play multiple genres. If it's a venue then you know what type of crowd is there. If you have the opportunity, you can check the venue out in advance to see what happens there. But at the end of the day, when you're there and you start to play, you need to see how they react to what you play. So that will be my suggestion. And so, and just one more thing, like if like you've been told your song selection is bad, like who told you that? Is that like one person in the crowd who was mad because you played a song they didn't like? Because I've had that happen 100 times. I've played at least 100 gigs where there was like one person giving me the evil eye because they did not like the songs I played. Now, mind you, 99% was on the dance floor having a great time. So I knew the gig was just fine, but you're not going to please everyone. Just hack. Are we going to see TLM DJ Christmas music? Hey, man, Christmas, we still have a little while to go. Stay tuned. Ted B. How do you get your groove back, your DJ groove back? With the pandemic and personal issues, how do you get it back? I can only speak for myself. Live streaming. For me, streaming brought my DJ groove back to the fullest. Before the pandemic, in like the last year and a half before the pandemic, yeah, I wasn't feeling it as much. I mean, my love for DJing was still there inside, of course, but like I was doing quite a few gigs that were like, yeah, I wasn't really feeling the current vibe in the clubs, and being able to live stream and do exactly what I wanted to do really brought my groove back. So for me, that was the ultimate thing. So first off, you get to play. Now, I know I'm blessed that I already have an audience on platform, so I was able to get people to Twitch. Not a massive crowd, but I was able to get people to come check me out. But to be able to play freely, because I view the live stream as my outlet. So I'm not booked to play for a certain crowd. My live stream, my channel is my outlet. So I get to do whatever I want to do. That really brought my groove back to the fullest. Costa Rica says, to change tempo, if I don't hard stop and echo out of the current track, I'll use a series of hype tracks like Fat Man Scoop, each with a faster BPM, dropping them on the one to get it to the target BPM. Yeah, I mean, anything like that can work. You also have people who use transition tracks. Now, the transition tracks are special edits that will have a break in the track where it all of a sudden will speed up or slow down. But then again, those are more interesting if you are doing a large BPM switch, because a lot of times those transition tracks will be like, they'll start at 85 or 90 and go all the way up to 125, or the reverse. But there are multiple ways to do it, of course. Radio One Aruba says, I had no play out 1 year and a half only on the radio. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 1000%. Now, I had a couple of gigs with Brainpower, but no DJ gigs. And the gigs with Brainpower were also like a couple within the year and a half. DJ T Cool, what up, what up? Good to see you. Mixmaster G says, you won't believe how many DJs have bought an older Mac just to use my tools. Yeah. Now, it is what it is. Like that is the thing. Like, I would never say that Windows computers won't work for DJing, because they work just fine. And even now, with all the streaming that I've been doing, like, I've been DJing Mac-less, so without a Mac, for over a year and a half, I think. 2 years now, something like that. And it gets the job done, for sure. But there are a couple of things I can't use on a Windows computer. So it's not the fact that Windows computers don't work, but there are a couple of things that I would like to be able to use, including Algorithm DJ with their Neural Mix feature. I would like to have that on a laptop as well. T Cool says, my NS7 III refuses to connect to my Windows laptop. Tried almost everything possible, still doesn't connect. I know that with Windows you deal with more driver issues, but no, I'm not sure. I know I had that issue because at the time that the NS7, was it the NS7 II? I know I had that issue. I think, no, maybe it wasn't with the NS7. I know it was with one of the controllers, and at that time I didn't have a Mac or Windows, and I had to do everything in a very specific manner. Like, I do remember with the NS7 I that it also had a warning in there, like, don't connect it to a Windows computer without first installing this driver, or stuff won't work. But damn, I'm not sure in your case. Yeah, Costa Rica, it is like a cycle, right? If there were more gigs, then a new laptop would have been less of an issue. Yeah, for sure. KW82, salute. I use Tractor Pro 3.5. I imported all my music from iTunes, analyzed each song to obtain the BPM. Initially, it shows the BPM, but when I restart Tractor, some BPM shows 0. So I'm without looking, because I have to scroll. My chat app is at the end. I know for sure that Mixmaster G has answered this question as the Tractor user. So now I'm going to scroll, and I know I'm going to be right. Daniel Warren says, should I switch from analog to digital? You need to do what feels right for you. If you feel that you're missing anything, so I assume you're talking about you're using vinyl now. If you feel you're missing out, so maybe you see that there's certain features that you could have that you don't currently have, then you can switch or add it. So for instance, and I'm not even sure if this is your question, but let's say that you're playing with vinyl now. Using DVS is a great way to also take advantage of the new tech. So you could then control your DJ software with control vinyl. But at the same time, anytime you want to switch to vinyl, you still have the set and you can play vinyl. So for me, I live stream every week. I do a mix and I'll use controllers, DVS, you name it. But once a month, next week is the next one. So coming Monday, every month I do an all vinyl show, and I can have the same turntable, same mixer there, but then I can still play my vinyl. Now, if you're going to stop with vinyl and buy a controller, then you can't play your vinyl anymore. But you have the option to do both. Curtis, what's good? I see you on the top screen. Even though I'm not there yet, I'm still, let's see, I'm still 15 minutes behind here in the chat. Hey, Big V. That's dope. That's dope. So if I'm ever back in NY, I'll definitely let you know. There we go. Mixmaster G with the answer for Tractor. At least I think it's the answer. I see a large text there, so I'm going to leave that up to Mixmaster G in the chat. And yeah, Mixmaster G has the same question for Daniel. If we're talking vinyl to digital or something else with analog to digital. Oh, Rated One has a question. The question is, did you ever play on a party bus? No. I'm thinking about it because I remember I did play. I have played one gig. Well, yeah, no, not like I know that I've seen party buses. I haven't done that. I have been on the back of like a truck during like a carnival gig, but that's different. So no, not a real party bus. And I've played in Aruba, by the way, on a beach. But no, not a party bus. Costa Rica says a couple of times I played a request that I was able to get in. And the ones that I requested came back and asked me again. They didn't know I played it. That was their loss. See, now that's another thing. I've had this happen plenty of times. People come up and they're asking for a certain song. It's a song that I know I'm going to play. So I tell them like, oh yeah, I'm playing that. Then they're back an hour later looking at you, especially if they're like drunk chicks, like, I'm not even going to think of the words. You know how it is, drunk. And you're looking at them like, yo, I played that 30 minutes ago. And either they're already too drunk or maybe they stepped out of the room. I don't know. Yeah, I've been there many times. All right. Yeah, so Daniel, vinyl to digital. That's what I love. I can have the same setup here that I use for digital, for like a Serato, record box, whatever set. And then the next week, I can just grab my vinyl, put my vinyl on the same set and play vinyl. But there are clear advantages to using a digital set. And I notice that every time I do my vinyl set, I love it, but there are just limitations. Limitations that you might not even notice that much if all you've ever played is vinyl. But once you step into that digital realm and you get to experience that you can, with a click, sort by name or BPM or whatever, that you can loop on the fly, that I have my entire collection double. And I used to buy all my vinyl double, but now I have everything double. That I can use a cue point to, instead of mixing into the middle of the track, I can mix back into the intro by hitting that. Anytime I do my all vinyl set, I think of those things, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I can't do that this day. This is the old school way, and I can't use those extras. And I love it. I mean, they changed my DJing style a little bit, but they do allow for a little bit more creativity when you have those extras there. It doesn't change anything about my song selection or stuff like that. But that's why I love DVS, because it allows me to still use the turntables. And you have used vinyl all your life, so you are used to your turntables. Now, you have a bunch of options there. You can go out and just buy the interface, so you don't even have to change the rest of your equipment. So I don't know, maybe you already have a mixer that has a compatible audio interface in there, and then all you need to do is connect it to your laptop. If you don't have that, you could buy either a new mixer, or the cheaper option is to buy the audio interface that works with DVS. The cheapest one is probably the Denon one, but I'm not 100% sure. Why am I not seeing scratch